Hi, I'm Steve Thompson, Assistant Principal of Ventura Adult Continuing Education, and I've been asked to share our experiences of implementing ESL during the pandemic. I can't say that we've done anything particularly spectacular, but we have managed to continue instruction and we have managed to retain a good number of our students. And as time goes on, we're finding that we are getting more proficient in doing so. We are a modest size agency located outside of LA. We typically would serve about 3,000 students a year. Right now, we're probably serving about half that number. We are one of only 11 adult schools in California accredited by the Council on Occupational Education. I bring that up because that is a very rigorous process and does require that we have all our policies and procedures in tip-top shape and are adhering to them. So I think the experience of going through the accreditation has made us a stronger institution. Our ESL program is similarly modest. As I said, we serve about 500 students a year. I have 6 instructors. One of the strengths we had when it came to implementing remote learning was the fact that we were early adopters of Burlington English. We've been using it as our main curriculum since 2014. So all our students and our instructors are very familiar with using an online curriculum. In addition, we were fortunate enough to pilot Burlington Core in 2019-20. And so we were well placed when COVID came in because that program is a distinct improvement on the older Burlington, and the teachers and students alike were very favorably impressed by it. Pre-COVID, we were running 3-hour sessions, morning and evening, 2 hours of direct instruction, and then that would be followed by an hour in the classroom using laptops that we provided. All teachers prepared student workbooks by printing off Burlington English worksheets, which allowed the students to have something tangible in their hand. And all teachers were using WhatsApp, as I mentioned before, to communicate with their students. Okay, so March 16th, we transitioned to distance learning overnight. Thursday, we were in the classroom. Monday, it was distance learning. At the beginning, we were throwing everything at it we could. We asked the teachers just to reach out in whatever way they thought they would best be able to contact their students. And it turned out to be WhatsApp, and then we gradually sort of transitioned into Zoom and then expanded to other areas. We did manage to maintain 51% of our student participation through the remainder of the school year. So we were quite encouraged by that. Okay, initially the teachers contacted the student using WhatsApp. The first lessons were using WhatsApp because you can not only communicate, have group chats, but you can also share documents and so forth. We distributed laptops to all our students as we transitioned to Zoom. And then as we went into Zoom, we were finding that we would have students attending the class via WhatsApp, kind of lurking in the background, while the other students were participating in the Zoom lessons. So we enlisted the help of those students to get the other students to come and join the Zoom lessons. We did maintain the same schedule as we had prior to COVID because students were used to going to those classes at the same time, but we had classes of a shorter duration. 2 hours is a long time for a lesson, but we just about manage it. And then we assign the student lesson, the Burlington English student lesson, as homework with the expectation that they're going to be doing that on their own time. Teachers record attendance both for the in-class lessons and the independent Burlington English attendance. Burlington English has a plethora of reports that you can run to tell you what your students have been doing and when they've been doing it. In addition, we did pilot the Census Co-op during the end of that year, which gave us valuable experience of doing remote assessment of co-ops. Our recruitment was fairly basic for the new school year. We promoted ESL on social media as we normally do, with a fairly simple flyer, just asking the student to leave a name and phone number. That flyer was distributed, apart from social media, was also distributed among our WEO partners and the school district. Teachers outreached to all previous and new students. We printed off ASAP all names and addresses we could, and the teachers tried to contact them by phone, text, and WhatsApp. We created a fillable PDF enrollment form, and that is typically completed by the student or the teacher during a Zoom meeting at which the teacher will either send or share the fillable PDF or fill it in on the student's behalf. Burlington English have been very supportive throughout this process, and they actually created our classes and schedules at Burlington English and assigned to classes for us. Orientation is a Zoom orientation. Students are initially contacted by phone, and once they've established contact, we set up a Zoom link. And during that initial, sorry, I should step back, because at our initial Zoom meeting, we will do the student registration, and then we'll do CASAS testing. And then that is then followed up by a Zoom orientation. The orientation's aimed at familiarizing people with Zoom and how to use Burlington English. We share the document that you can see on the right that has links to a Zoom intro PowerPoint and the Burlington English tutorial and videos. Burlington English has been very helpful as a learning management system for us. Burlington English reports provide in-depth data on student attendance and progress, and the Burlington English virtual scheduler is used by teachers for announcements, links to Zoom lessons, and links to documents in Google Drive. As you can see on this slide here, there's a link initially to the course syllabus, and down below you can see a link to a student lesson, and then we have similarly the teachers put in links to the Zoom lessons. Typically that's a recurring lesson anyway, so they're always accessing the same link for their classes. Okay, on August 24th, we started our new year with COVID instruction. As I said, there are 2-hour Burlington English lessons via Zoom and a daily Burlington English student assignment. And again, we printed out the Burlington worksheets and printed and bound them and distributed them to the students. And then teachers also have 1 hour a day for individual student assistance, problems with typically using Zoom or accessing Burlington English or finding their way around Burlington English, that kind of thing. And then we have a Friday lab session for students who just feel the need to communicate with the teacher, and they get more one-on-one hands-on assistance during that lab session. Of course, testing has been a challenge. Fortunately, we do have staff available who stepped up to the plate. We redeployed teachers whose classes were discontinued due to COVID, and they became our RAT pack, our remote academic testing team. ESL instructors also conduct testing. They typically conduct the pre-tests, okay? We follow remote CASAS remote testing guidelines and procedures. We began with one-on-one testing, did introduce multiple testing. However, that has since been supplanted by parking lot testing that we now run 5 hours a day, 4 days a week. The picture on the right shows how that works. The students are not in their cars. They can be. If they don't want to leave their cars, we'll bring a computer to them. But typically they sit in the shaded area, I should say, which is, we find, rather more comfortable, and also we have that air circulation going. Co-ops, yes, as I said, we implemented the census co-op during the summer of last year, summer school, and since then we've implemented 2 co-ops this year. We've had a total of 74 students, I believe, who completed co-ops. Instructors use the breakout rooms That way they can do the oral task one-on-one individually with student. They observe the written tasks, and then the documents are either emailed as documents, or sometimes they take pictures of them because they're filling them out of hand. And Google Classroom has been very helpful in this regard. Okay, so here's where we are. At the end of the first quarter, we had 184 students with more than 12 hours, which is about 60% of where we were at last year. 87% of our enrolled students with 12 hours or more have been pre-tested, and 62% as we speak have post-tests, and we've managed 58% with educational functioning level gains, which is encouraging because it's fairly high. And as I said before, 74 students have completed co-ops, which is about 55% of where we were at last year. And frankly, that pretty much wraps it up. That was short and sweet, I know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding this presentation. You can contact me on the email address that you see here, or you can contact me by the phone on that phone number that is available on the screen now. Thank you for your attention.